Dolphins in the fall. The whole country is watching. Are you ready for some football?
The Pittsburgh Steelers, with the steel industry in Pittsburgh, is not what it was in the industrial age. But it is once again firing up the molds that produced those legendary Steeler prototypes. Jerome Bettis has hammered out over 1,000 yards rushing this year. The NFL season rushing title is well within reach. The Pittsburgh Blast Furnace is also turning out high-grade defensive players. Rock Whitson leads a terrific defense that is ranked first in the conference. The legendary Steeler teams were a reflection of the Pittsburgh workforce. Players that forged victories as their fans produce steel. Coach Bill Cowher sees the tradition continuing today.
And there's a bond that's on this team between offense, defense, and special teams that has very blue-collarish-like, and at the same time, there's a lot of pretty good football players.
The Pittsburgh Super Bowl mill has not produced one of these since 1971. Frank Gifford with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Happy you're with us. Good AFC matchup for you tonight. The Steelers and the Dolphins. The Dolphins coming into tonight are 6-5. Of course, their playoff hopes are still there. But you get a feeling that this is a work in progress for their first-year head coach, Jimmy Johnson. He's looking down the line a couple of years. But he has a future Hall of Fame quarterback, Dan Marino, who's healthy once again. And Dan Marino can change the entire aspect of a football game just by his sheer will alone. And we'll look for him tonight. He'll be throwing the ball plenty tonight. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers come in at 8-3 tonight in control of the AFC Central Division. They win tonight. They go 3 up on the Houston Oilers. But this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team trying to get back to the Super Bowl, Al, that is a troubled football team. They won last week against Jacksonville. They lost to Cincinnati the week before, but they have not played well on either side of the ball.
They're putting up some bizarre numbers, too, Frank. They didn't even gain 200 yards last week. Mike Tomczak, 7 of 24. And on the season, a team that's 8-3 has a quarterback who has thrown more interceptions than touchdown passes. They don't expect Tomczak to win games by himself or with his arm. They just want Mike to keep them in games, and that's exactly what he's done. And give the ball to Jerome Bettis, who came into this weekend as the #2 rusher in the National Football League. But like the Steeler teams of yore, this team wins because of a great defensive unit. They lost All-Pro linebacker Greg Lloyd on opening day, but Bill Cowher has kept this team together, and the defensive unit is ranked #3 of the National Football League. We asked Bill Cowher last night to sum up this team in one word. He said sporadic. He also said it's time to become consistent if they're to make a return visit to the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, they're 6-0 at home, 2-3 on the road. So a big game tonight in Miami-Dade against a Dolphin team very much on the improve, having won their last 2 games.
And of course, everybody knows what a massive rebuilding job this is in Miami, Al. And when you talk to Jimmy Johnson, he's so thrilled that this isn't a team that's just treading water. This is actually a football team that is competing for a playoff position. A win tonight, and they go 7-5, and they're right in it. We talk about a massive rebuilding. Well, what is that? Well, remember a year ago we used to talk about this football team that it had 19 #1 draft choices. This was one of the most veteran teams in the league. Well, they had 10 rookies make their roster this year. 7 of them are going to start this ball game tonight. A full third of the starting members of the Dolphins tonight are going to be rookies. How have they improved? Well, keep in mind, we'll give you one number. Their last playoff game last year when they were eliminated by the Bills, they gave up 341 yards rushing. This year, they come into this weekend ranked #3 in the league against the run, giving up less than 89 yards a game. A massive improvement. The guy responsible for all that is their head coach, Jimmy Johnson, and he's down on the field right now with Lynn Swann.
Thank you very much, Dan. One of the things Pittsburgh is known for, Jimmy, is their blitz. And this week, you've got 2 young bodies, one of the rookies starting at offensive guard. How do you change what you do on offense, or do you change?
Well, then we haven't changed anything, and you're right. Pittsburgh's got the best defense in the NFL as far as giving you blocking problems, and those guards are going to have their hands full. But we feel like if we can protect and avoid the negative play, we can find some holes in that defense.
If your guys can protect, is it Danny Marino who can pick apart the secondary, or will you rely more on your rookie runner, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Well, we've got to run the football just a little bit just to keep them in sync and make sure we have some balance. But Dan will be the guy that's going to be able to make the plays against that defense.
Well, we'll be looking forward to it. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, Lynn.
Al?
All right, thank you, Lynn. Beautiful night, big crowd, capacity crowd. Good matchup. Dolphins 6-5, Steelers 8-3, and Norm Johnson, who's been around a long time, to kick off. Kirby Dardar and Irving Spikes back to receive. Norm Johnson in his 15th year from UCLA sends it skyward, and here we go from Miami, taken by Kirby Dardar at the 7-yard line. Running parallel along the 15, turns the corner and is thrust out of bounds by Dion Figures up at the 24-yard line. And now the Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino is a all night long, and they begin with a run to the left side. Abdul-Jabbar across the 25, picks up 2. Chad Brown making the stop. The Steeler defense, one of the few teams in the league still playing the 3-4. Buckner, Steed, and Henry do the dirty work up front, and they clean it up for Gilden, Kirkland, Olszewski, and Brown, the linebackers. Then the secondary, Woodson, an all-timer, and Williams at the corners, Lake and Perry, the safeties. Rod named to the All-NFL team on the 75th anniversary. As you look at Keith Sims, who's been an Iron Man until now, the guard who will be out for a week or 2. Second down and 8. And Marino's first pass of the night is caught up at the 29-yard line by Troy Drayton, the tight end. It'll be 3rd and 5. He's taken down by the linebacker, Jason Gilden.
And you got a quick look at Pittsburgh, their first blitz of the night. Levon Kirkland coming in, having a great year, but Dan, you would have to expect that they're going to do a lot of blitzing because they have 2 of these inexperienced linemen in there, and it's going to be key to protect Marino, but it's going to be very difficult against this blitzing defense.
And I think they're going to have to run patterns like the one we just saw Drayton run. Shorter crossing patterns so that there's always someone pretty close to Marino that he can dump the ball in a hurry. You run the risk when you blitz Dan Marino. He's the best ever at reading and reacting and releasing in a hurry.
And out of the shotgun, Marino throws, and it's caught just enough for a first down. O.J. McDuffie reaches out, puts the ball down on the chalk at the 35-yard line, tackled by Darren Perry, and Miami with the game's initial first down.
He is their 3rd down guy. So many times they will go to McDuffie, and that time the Steelers showed the blitz at the line of scrimmage, then they got out of it. Actually, Woodson came from the outside, got the tight coverage, and Perry was able to make the stop, but not until McDuffie gets the first.
First down at the 35-yard line. Marino buys time with a good play fake and then throws, and it's caught up at the 46-yard line by McDuffie. And that's close to a first down. Should be enough. Willie Williams with the coverage.
Well, we have a lot of football to play, but so far the Pittsburgh Steelers have come at the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have responded offensively. Look at the time and the view that Dan Marino has downfield. Really good coverage by Willie Williams all over McDuffie, who got a very fortunate bounce of the football and was able to control it. But you just can't give a guy like Marino a look like that and expect it to be an incomplete pass.
And notice how he always picks up the receiver with the single coverage.
I thought Williams actually hit McDuffie early. There was no flag, and McDuffie was able to keep control. And there's the guy that took over for Dom Capers, who went to Carolina, Dick LeBeau. He will send them and send them and send them.
First down from the 45-yard line, and it's Abdul-Jabbar probing the middle. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out of UCLA. His name is Sharman Shaw, and he changed it before his senior season. Jimmy Johnson drafted him, and he's given him the starting role along with the blocking back, Pritchard. So Jimmy Johnson, as Dan said at the top, a coach not afraid to play the kids, and this is a team, as Frank said, a work in progress, and the Dolphins will be probably on a very upward moving graph over the next couple of years.
Well, if they have any more drafts like the one they had in 1996, look out. Getting a lot of productivity out of this draft.
2nd and 9. Marino out of a 2-back set this time throws, and that's caught at the 42 of Pittsburgh by Fred Barnett, who started the season having surgery, and it was big-time knee surgery, not the arthroscopic kind, but they didn't put him on injured reserve, and back he came at the end of October.
Well, he had a full reconstruction ACL. They put a cadaver ligament into that knee in August. Is just remarkable. He was working out with him 6 weeks. He's back playing full-time now. Started last week, but Barnett will make a big difference for Dan Marino. He is a great receiver when he's healthy, and he appears to be just that.
Marino, a hot hand on the opening drive. Danny is 4 of 4 from the 42-yard line. Back to the ground, and Abdul-Jabbar swings to the outside. Crosses the 40, taken down at the 39-yard line by Darren Perry after a pickup of 3.
Question for you, Dan. Two inexperienced guards in there. We're talking about Bucky and McIver. And Chad Brown a little shaken there.
Well, he came into this game with a sore ankle, and Chad Brown leads the Steelers with 10 sacks, and he took the outside linebacker spot of that man right there, Greg Lloyd. And right now, a man who came in with a sore ankle looks like it's a lot more sore than it was the play before. The Steelers can't afford to lose Chad Brown.
From the 38-yard line on 2nd down and 7, Abdul-Jabbar, same play inside the 35 and taken out at the 33, a little short of the first by Darren Perry.
And they came right at Chad Brown. A great lead block, and to put Brown on the ground, and now he's going to have to leave the ball game.
Limping.
Yep, there is no mercy in this game. Chad Brown got up limping. The Dolphins come right back at him. Take a look at him. He's going to go upfield, and an excellent lead block by Pritchett puts him down and puts him out of the ball game.
Well, he was just in there to see if he could go tonight. He limped through practice this past week, and he obviously can't. He's going to have to sit down, and it'll make a big difference for the Steelers.
Dante Jones, second-year linebacker out of Nebraska, number 54, takes that spot. 3rd and 1. A big hole over the left side for Abdul-Jabbar. Takes it to the 20. Tackled by Perry. Another Miami first down.
When they came right back where Chad Brown would have been.
Well, and they come with a double blitz, Frank, right over the 2 guards. And right now, Bucky and McIver, the 2 guys filling in for Gray and Sims, are not just holding their own, they're winning. There's Bucky right there with the lead block. Abdul-Jabbar untouched till he's about 8 or 9 yards downfield. A most impressive start for the Dolphins.
And now Irving spikes in the backfield as Abdul-Jabbar gets a rest. First down at the 20-yard line, and they give it to Irving Spikes. And Spikes this time finds nothing over the left side. Jerry Olszewski, the inside linebacker who played his college ball at the University of Pittsburgh, makes the stop.
Go back to the question I wanted to ask you, Dan, as an offensive lineman. When you have 2 inexperienced guys in there like Bucky and McIver replacing Sims and Gray, is it better to work on the run during the week, run on the pass? What can they pick up the easiest?
Well, yeah, the run would be the easiest to pick up because the run you're moving, it's the intricacies of pass protection, I think, would be their biggest problem, and where they spent the bulk of their time working during the week. There's a lot more communication between the linemen, between the center, the guards, and the tackles on their pass pickups than there is in their run blocking.
2nd and 10. Marino is 4 for 4. And now he is 5 for 5 on a short gain. Troy Drayton loses his helmet, stays with it, makes the catch over the middle. Carnell Lake that time coming in and putting the pressure on Dan Marino.
And of course, you mentioned Carnell Lake. He's a free safety coming on a blitz. It gets redundant doing a Steelers game to mention the word blitz. It's almost an every down occurrence where somebody comes on some type of a blitzing scheme from the Steelers.
And you rarely can pick them all up, and it behooves Marino to make a quick read and get rid of it.
3rd and 5. The Dolphins have had the ball for half the first quarter. No score. This is the game's opening drive. Inside handoff to Bernie Parmalee, and his first carry of the night takes it to the 5-yard line. So the Dolphins, on a beautifully executed drive. Marino's been perfect. Gary Stevens, the offensive coordinator, on the right. 3 different guys have carried the ball, and it's 1st and goal.
Well, Gary Stevens wins that one because Rod Woodson comes on a corner blitz, but he's coming from the left. Watch, there he comes in. He's chasing Parmalee. So Gary Stevens hits a home run, calling the run that happened to be going away from where the Steelers and Woodson came on the blitz. That's just luck. Well, maybe Gary Stevens knew they were going to blitz, but that's a fortunate call.
1st and goal is the 13th play of the drive. And Abdul-Jabbar gets about half the distance, takes it to the 2-yard line. Levon Kirkland makes the tackle, and the Dolphins have had the football for 8.5 minutes.
And they surprisingly have done so well with Bucky and McIver filling in there. They've been able to run the ball. They picked up the blitz on almost every occasion. Sometimes a man came in free. Marino was able to pick up the read. He got rid of the football before they could get to it. They're doing a great job.
Andrew Franklin's record goes down in this, the 12th game of the season, rookie rushing mark. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar etches his name into the record book. It's 2nd down and goal from the 2.
Oh, Dan Marino saw Carnell Lake cheating up off the edge, and he went to change it.
And then the Steelers changed, and he had to call timeout.
Yep. Well, the Dolphins have had the ball for 9 minutes, 1 second, but there's still no score. Nine minutes, 1 second into the game. We still have not seen the Steeler offense. The Dolphins, on a beautiful drive, have a 2nd down and goal at the 2-yard line after taking that last time out. A beautifully conceived drive, and the script master right there, Gary Stevens.
And he has to be mighty pleased.
I talked to him before the game, and I asked him about the 2 youngsters he was starting. He looked at me, and I said, I didn't mean to ruin your night.
As of right now, that appears to be a non-story.
They're doing a great job. Jeff Bucky and Everett McIver.
2nd and goal. And Marino hands the ball off. And gain of a half a yard or so. Abdul-Jabbar just inside the 2-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
And Chad Brown is back on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's back at his linebacking position. There he is, and he brings his 10 sacks and a pair of interceptions back into that Steelers huddle. Problem for Pittsburgh, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
3rd and goal. Bernie Parmalee in the game as the 3rd down back. Marino best in the league in completion percentage in the red zone this season. Out of the gun. Throws. Touchdown. O.J. McDuffie.
Oh, and what a clutch receiver O.J. McDuffie has turned into. Always the man they look to on 3rd down. Now they get 3rd and goal. O.J. McDuffie.
Well, they came with a blitz off that corner, and Myron Bell got it wrong. He had the coverage on McDuffie and overplayed it to the inside. You see Lake come on the blitz. Bell not in a position, not prepared for an outside break by McDuffie. That's a pretty easy touchdown.
Joe Nedney now for the point after. And whistles sound before the snap. First whistle we've had. Walt Coleman refereeing his first Monday night game.
False start prior to the snap. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty.
Jeff Bucky.
Well, if that's the worst mistake the rookie makes here tonight, I think the coaching staff can live with it.
Yep.
Although with Nedney kicking,
yeah,
anything's possible.
You're right.
Interesting time to be offsides on a conversion attempt, wouldn't you say, Dan?
Yes.
Left side of your screen, 77.
Yeah. You see him. He's down in the stance. He can't move. And Nedney is a bit erratic. That last extra point wasn't good by a lot.
But he bangs this one through. That's the consummate drive. 9 minutes, 45 seconds, 15 plays. They gain 38 yards rushing, 38 yards passing. Absolute perfection. 7-0 Miami.
There's the Miami Dolphin offensive line sitting on the sidelines in front of the fans. They've worked up a pretty good lather here, and there's the quarterback brain trust. From an offensive lineman's perspective, drives just don't get a whole lot better than that.
Joe Nedney kicking off, and it's taken at the 10-yard line by Ernie Mills on a kickoff that might have gone out of bounds. But Mills runs it back out to the 24-yard line, tackled there by special teams maven Larry Izzo. 5:05 remaining in the quarter as Tomczak gets ready to come in. 7-0 Miami.
That's a look at the forearm of Mike Tomczak, the Steeler quarterback, who has all the formations and everything down there.
And he will.
He's been here 3 years. If you think you'd have that down.
He'll be having Bettis and Lester behind him. Johnson and Yancey Thigpen, who was hurt the first half of the season. Bruner, the tight end. Jackson Wolford, the great Dermontti Dawson. Myslinski for the injured Stye, Brendan Stye, and Justin Strelzik, the interior 5. From the 24-yard line, the first offensive play of the night for the Steelers is a 5-yard pickup by Jerome Bettis up to the 29-yard line. He's tackled there by Dwight Hollier. Dolphins play a conventional 4-3. Two rookies on the left side, Shane Burton and Darrell Gardner, their top pick out of Baylor, with Tim Bowens and Danny Stubbs with 8 sacks. Hollier, Zach Thomas, and what a story he is, which we'll detail as we go along, and Chris Singleton, the linebackers. Buckley and Jackson at the corners. Oliver and another rookie, Sean Wooden, are the safeties.
There's Brendan Stye. He's got a damaged elbow. He's been out for 6 weeks. Probably be back next week.
Tomczak, deep drop on 2nd and 5. Hits Bettis underneath. And Bettis, the monster truck, takes it to the 43-yard line. Zach Thomas, the linebacker, tracks him down there.
And I think he was Zach's man coming out of the backfield. Zach got caught looking into the eyes of Mike Tomczak. Tomczak looked him off a little bit, and Bettis came perfectly free and gets a big pickup. See, number 54, he's looking right at Mike Tomczak, and here comes Bettis out of the backfield.
They don't throw to Bettis that often. It's only his 18th catch in this game, number 12. 15-yard pickup. First down, Pittsburgh at the 44 with Miami up 7-0. And there's Bettis finding some room over the left side, but Lewis Oliver, the hard-hitting safety, comes up to knock him down after a gain of about 3.
Well, Miami is going to have to stop Jerome Bettis. They should take the risk on Tomczak getting the completions, but they do have to stop Jerome Bettis, or this game could go right down the tubes for them.
And before they get to Bettis, they have to deal with Jackson, Wolford, Dawson, Mislinski, and Strelzik. Maybe the best run-blocking offensive line in the National Football League. One efficient unit.
2nd and 6. Caught a glimpse of the defensive coordinator, George Hill, as Tomczak throws, and that's at the 32-yard line, taken in by Charles Johnson somehow, some way. Wooden makes the tackle, and a first down at the 32-yard line.
Well, credit that run-blocking offensive line, Dan, with picking up a blitz on the part of the Miami Dolphins, giving Tomczak all that time. The ball was poorly thrown, and Johnson makes a superb catch. If this completion was due to the picking up of the blitz by the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line.
Yancey Thigpen also running a crossing route over the middle, reached up to try to one-hand it. First down from the 33-yard line, and that's Andre Hastings who makes the catch. Hastings had been starting while Thigpen was mending that hamstring pull, and right now he's the number 3 wide receiver, forced out by Terrell Buckley.
And pretty good protection for Tomczak. Tomczak is 6'1", if he's 6'1", and that's not tall for a quarterback. As you can see, sometimes you got to throw between people.
2nd and 7 at the 29-yard line. 2 minutes to go in the quarter with Miami leading 7-0. And Jerome Bettis, and they converge on him as he takes the handoff. Daniel Stubbs and Tim Bowens in the middle of the action.
Well, that's just good penetration on the part of the Miami Dolphins.
Well, Danny Stubbs comes off the corner. I think Bruner, the tight end, is supposed to get a shoulder into him, and he really doesn't. Allows Stubbs. There's Stubbs at the top. You see Bruner late coming off the ball. He didn't stop Stubbs whatsoever, and he slices around that corner and gets into Bettis.
3rd down and 7, and they have Cordell Stewart, the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, slashes in the game. And Tomczak throws and tries to get it to Stewart, and it's almost picked off by Calvin Jackson. 4th down.
Oh, he was looking at 6 points. Could he hold on? 5 receivers, a lot of pressure on Tomczak, and almost picked off.
Mike almost gave you the impression that he was throwing it out there into the flat, whether or not he was covered or not. Breaking to the outside is Stewart. And Jackson looked like he was running a crisper pattern than Cordell Stewart.
Now a 47-yard field goal attempt. Tomczak to hold.
Always keep that in mind that the quarterback is holding.
Norm Johnson from 47 yards, and the kick is good. So Johnson and his wife celebrating the recent birth of their 3rd son. And he celebrates with a 47-yarder to culminate this drive. 1:15 to go in the quarter. Miami 7, Pittsburgh 3. Each quarterback throwing for 38 yards on the opening drive. The difference was Miami also gained 38 on the ground and got the touchdown. Tomczak's Steelers settle for the field goal. It's 7-3. Miami up by 4 with 1:15 to go in the quarter as Norm Johnson kicks off. Good deep kick taken 2 yards in the end zone by Irving Spikes. And Spikes hit hard up at the 17-yard line. Tim Lester, the blocking back, the fullback who helps pave the way for Bettis. 1:04 to go in the period. Marino ready to go back to work, up by 4. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the complete line of 1997 Lincoln and Mercury automobiles. Norelco Reflex Action Razor. Anything closer could be too close for comfort. Prudential, bringing strength and stability to America's families through insurance, healthcare, real estate, and financial services. And Dr. Pepper, and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper is just what the doctor ordered.
Is that an endangered species up there? Look at that.
A shot, great shot, downtown Miami. Mark. First down for the Dolphins at the 17, up by 4 as they begin this drive on the ground. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar takes it up to the 22-yard line behind a Robert Wilson block. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Well, the Dolphins have been talking for years about getting a running game going, and they have been, if nothing else this year, much more persistent about it, though not necessarily more effective. They did begin the year grinding out a lot of yardage on the ground as they picked up 3 victories in their first 3 games, but the running game has leveled off of late.
Yeah, they're only averaging about 100 yards a game. But I think if I'm Dan Marino, I look at what's happening to John Elway with a running game, and I hope that could happen to me.
2nd and 5. Marino showing mobility, throws, finds the open man. That's Freddie Barnett up to the 45 and a first down. Willie Williams makes the tackle and what will be the final play of the opening period.
Well, it was John Elway, Dan, but Dan showing a little agility, limping out there to the right. Take a look at it again. Barnett coming from the opposite side of the field. Now he knows Marino's in trouble, and he keeps it alive, giving him the angle. Good move by Barnett, and good delivery by Marino.
End of 1, Miami 7. We're back in Miami. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan.
Al's got the stripes on there.
going to jail. We start the second quarter, 7-3, Miami on top as they begin the second quarter with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar taking it to the short side of the field, crossing the 50, a 7-yard gain, stopped by Perry and Olszewski. First quarter statistics with Miami up with a lot of balance. There it is, 43 yards on the ground and 61 in the air.
The one number you know will go up will be that rushing yardage for the Steelers. Only 9 yards in the first quarter. They only had the ball for 4 minutes, but Jerome Bettis will touch the football a lot tonight.
Marino is 7 for 7 through the air tonight. They stay on the ground here, and Abdul-Jabbar takes it to the 43-yard line for a first down. Marino last week ended the game in Houston by completing his last 7. Starts tonight by completing his first 7. The club record is 15, held by, you want to guess? That man. He did it in 92, so he's 1 shy of equaling his own mark.
It wasn't Earl Morrow?
No. Or David Woodley.
Well, 40 pages in the Dolphin press guide for Dan Marino, and almost every one of them deals with some kind of a record and has all the major categories.
And with this running game that the Dolphins are bent on developing, Dan Marino, if you talk to Dan or to Jimmy, another 3 or 4 years.
Trying to stay perfect, but the rush is on, the coverage is good, and that's his first incomplete pass of the night as he throws it away.
Well, the running game has already affected him. He came into this weekend as the leading passer in the National Football League. He hasn't led the league in passing going back to, 1984, I think, when the Dolphins went to the Super Bowl, and he had that incredible year of 48 touchdown passes. And
5,000 plus yards.
Yeah, just remarkable. I remember we did that game. Al, you were with us, and we thought, boy, we're going to see him many, many times. And I certainly would like to see him back in one before it's over.
2nd down and 10 at the 43-yard line. Marino with great protection, and it's simply dropped over the middle. That's Stanley Pritchett, the rookie fullback out of South Carolina, and a guy who can catch the ball. He came into tonight's game as their second leading receiver behind only O.J. McDuffie.
You know, he was a great receiver at South Carolina. They got him in the 4th round. Some of these rookies they're starting, you mentioned Al, they started 7 of them tonight, but they're like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks. They got one number 1 that started Daryl Gardner at tackle, but Pritchard was one of them, a 4th round pick, 62 receptions as a senior. So he's a good receiver. Just took his eyes off that one.
3rd and 10. That means Bernie Parmalee is in the game as the 3rd down back. And Marino guns one to the near side, and that is incomplete. Barnett, the intended receiver, and Deion Figures was right there. And Jimmy Johnson saying, "Where's the flag?"
Boy, Deion had some superb coverage there.
Boy, and Dan Marino took a shot back in the pocket as well. That's one of the few times tonight that he got pasted. Chad Brown, number 94, gets inside Richmond Webb, and he puts that helmet right on the ribs of Marino. Don't forget, Dan Marino missed most of 4 games with a broken ankle earlier this year.
John Kidd, the league's leading punter, averaging 47 yards per boot, bounces this one at the 10, and a beauty down inside the 5 by Tim Jacobs. John Kidd having a Pro Bowl type of season. 13-18 to the half. Dolphins by 4. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes coming down from Pompano Beach, looking down into this facility, built or helped put together by the late owner of the Dolphins, Joe Robbie, and until recently named in his honor. Sold out tonight. Pittsburgh at their own 3-yard line, 1st and 10. Down by 4, and Jerome Bettis tries to give him some breathing room and takes it up to the 5-yard line. Pickup of a couple. Bettis coming over after 3 years with the Rams, got off to a tremendous start when the Rams were still in Los Angeles, and then had sort of a washout year last year, became expendable. Bill Cowher traded for him. Meanwhile, Cowher on Monday night, does he love these lights? 9-1 on Monday Night Football, best record among the 25 coaches who coached 10 or more games. And the only loss was here last year to Miami. 2nd and 8 as Tomczak guns it, and it's incomplete, intended for the tight end Mark Bruner. Lewis Oliver with the coverage.
A lot of time for Tomczak, but good coverage on the part of the Dolphins. Plenty of time to look around, check off one receiver to another, to a 3rd receiver.
And he may have checked them all off, Frank, because every single one of them was smothered. George Hill, the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins, had to be pleased with that. And now the noise factor.
3rd and 8. Cordell Stewart is in the game.
7 defensive backs.
Tomczak throwing out of the end zone, and it's caught by Yancey Thigpen, and he takes it all the way out to the 39-yard line. Thigpen had a terrific year last year, hobbled with a hamstring injury this year, missed half the season, just rounding back into shape.
Boy, and Shane Wooden, the rookie free safety, made a mistake there. He went for the interception instead of knocking this ball away. Thigpen right between the two. Now watch number 22. He came in for the interception instead of going for the deflection, and gave up a big 1st down.
For a guy who was going for the interception, I agree. He goes even on the wrong side of the receiver. The ball's on the other side.
The rookies will do that.
That was a clean whiff by Wooden.
1st down, and a fake to Hastings, and everybody goes in that direction. Then a flip to Bettis. And Bettis picks up 11 before he's taken out of bounds by Singleton.
Now that was a good-looking play. That's a good-looking play. You work all week on drawing that baby up, and there's something that actually worked the way they drew it. Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator, has to be thrilled with that.
When it's so important when you call it, you have to check the frequencies. You work all week, and
watch
for
the
an
block.
offensive coach, nothing is better than this.
Good block down there, Dermontti Dawson, as he puts Zach Thomas down. You're right, Frank. Boy, it's such a confidence booster to a team. You work on that play all week long, and then it works just the way you drew it up.
From the 48-yard line, Bettis bouncing his way for a gain of 7. Sean Wooden makes the stop at the 41-yard line.
That Steeler offensive line is beginning to take pretty good control of this game.
Magnificent look at the stadium here in South Florida. And Jerome Bettis is a running back that your only way to control him is to make him move at the line of scrimmage. You see on Monday Night Football so far this year, 2 games, over 100 yards in both of them. 18 yards so far on the ground. But he's just getting warmed up.
And he slips down here. He should have enough for a first down. Zach Thomas, the middle linebacker, is there. Will Wolford helped lead the way, but before he goes down, he should have enough for a first down. They spotted at the 37. They'll move the sticks with 10:35 remaining in the half, and Miami on top by 4.
Frank, just to finish my point about Bettis, he's a guy that you need to make him change directions at the line of scrimmage by either jamming the hole, make him go laterally. If you allow him to go straight up the field, he's a load. More than most people can handle one-on-one.
From the 37, they give it to Ernie Mills on the end around. Flip it to Mills, and he takes it to the 28-yard line. Ernie, like Thigpen, is a guy who'd been hurt. He was hurt in the Super Bowl last year, and it took him about 8 months to round back into playing form.
How about that block by Will Wolford? He just wiped out Calvin Jackson, the cornerback.
To help spring them. Next week, the 49ers make their second appearance on Monday Night Football this season. They go to Atlanta. The Niners are 9-3. The Falcons are 2-10. But the Niners have Carolina breathing down their necks right now in the NFC West. So the 49ers need a victory to stay on top in that division, assuming Carolina wins its game with Tampa Bay on Sunday. First down, second down and 1 rather, from the 28-yard line as Eric Pegram picks up a first down. Pegram, a change of pace from Jerome Bettis, and a guy who in his own right could be a starter for a lot of teams.
I mentioned that block by Wolford against Calvin Jackson. Jackson's come out of the ball game. Take a little breather on the sidelines. He was really smacked by Wolford, who pulled from that left guard position. Big Will, 7 years at Buffalo, 4 years at Indy. He's certainly taken advantage of free agency.
Yes, he has. At one time, he was the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL, and he's so doggone smart that he slides into any system without any downtime and picks it up immediately.
Tomczak under pressure, loses the football, and it's picked up at the 37-yard line by Shane Burton, the rookie from Tennessee. Gardner and Entman came in, knocked the ball loose. Miami has the football.
Well, somebody from Pittsburgh is still down on the ground. That's John Jackson, the left tackle. John Jackson's been their starting left tackle for many years. He's still down. And Tomczak, I don't know what he was trying to do with that football when he lost it. Big John Jackson over on the Steelers sideline. He walked off. It looks like he hopefully will be okay. He took a shot in the chest, actually, from his own receiver. Ernie Mills coming back to get in on the play. Hopefully just got the wind knocked out of him.
Now Miami up by 4. First down from the 38-yard line. Barnett makes the catch, and he loses the football, and it stays in bounds, and the Steelers have it. Darren Perry recovers. Willie Williams stripped it. Perry recovers it. Back-to-back turnovers. Steelers first down.
And it looked like it was going to go out of bounds, but it was Willie Williams. Actually, Barnett had the first down, and Williams just stripped the ball out. It stayed in bounds.
One of those deals, you know, Fred Barnett is trying to stay on his feet, trying to stay alive, trying to make something happen, and ends up making a mistake. If he just drops to the ground, the play's dead. But by his own effort, Fred Barnett was staying up. Thus, it's still a live football. Fred's trying to fight. Williams gets the arm on the ball. Back-to-back turnovers.
Fred Barnett lost the football. That's the 8th time this season a Dolphin has given up the football after making a pass reception. And now Pittsburgh at the 49-yard line. Miami shows blitz. Here they come. Tomczak reads it and throws incomplete. Zach Thomas crashing through, forcing the issue. Second down and 10. Monday Night Football from Miami is being brought to you by Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good.
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most. And Infinity, the new Q45. Everything changes but the soul.
It must have just been a case of getting the wind knocked out of him. John Jackson, the left tackle, has started this series again for the Steelers.
2nd down and 10, and here's Jerome Bettis bouncing his way to the 43-yard line. That's a gain of 5. It'll be 3rd and 5. Daniel Stubbs makes the stop. There's John.
One of the real indications of how good this Steeler offensive line is their yard per carry average. And again, we've got somebody from Pittsburgh banged up, and that's Dermontti Dawson, their all-world center. Ooh. Bated breath in Pittsburgh as we wait to find out what's wrong with Dawson.
The indestructible one, Dermontti Dawson, up and off the field because of the injury timeout. In a situation like that, you have to sit out one play at the least. And so Jim Sweeney, the longtime veteran, the 13-year man who played his college ball at Pitt, is in there and snapping to Tomczak on 3rd and 4. And that's picked off at the 40-yard line. Intercepted by Calvin Jackson, who had an earlier interception go through his hands. This time he holds on and scores for Miami.
Oh, boy. Every now and then, Mike Tomczak gives you the impression that he is throwing the football to a place without looking first or reading the coverage, Frank.
Good right into double coverage. Hastings was the intended receiver. That was one of the easiest picks that Calvin Jackson will ever have. Here's Hastings a little to the outside, stepping right in front of it. He had to see him. An easy 6 for Miami.
Well, no turnovers in the first quarter, and now we have 3 turnovers almost in succession here.
Nedney for the point after. Calvin Jackson has just scored his first National Football League touchdown.
He'll never get an easier one.
Nope. Kid born here in Miami and went to high school in Fort Lauderdale. Doing it for the home folks. 14-3.
Mike Tomczak tried to throw it between his left guard and his left tackle. Didn't see the coverage. Didn't read it properly when he came up to the line of scrimmage. Threw it right in the hands of Calvin Jackson. Easy 6 for Miami.
Well, this Pittsburgh offense has not exactly been a well-oiled machine the last couple weeks. They really struggled in their game last week against Jacksonville. Al mentioned at the very beginning how Mike only completed 7 passes against Jacksonville. The week before, he was 13 of 28 with 3 interceptions against Cincinnati. They've been getting big plays on special teams and from their defense.
And the last time we saw him against Kansas City, what, 300 and some yards?
Right.
Yep. Well, Nedney has just kicked a touchback. However, I think it's going to come back because there are flags down back at the 30-yard line. And Walt Coleman will signify offside. He'll do it again.
Looked like the guy closest to the Miami sideline was there are some penalties that just should never, ever happen.
Like that one.
And being offsides on a kickoff coverage is one of them.
And frequent.
Offsides, 49 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, free kick.
Robert Wilson.
The special teamers today, they get so stoked up.
Mike Westhoff, a special teams coach. I mentioned before, I thought it was Walt Coleman's first Monday night game. He's in his 2nd year as a ref. It's actually his 2nd. He did the Minnesota-San Francisco game last year, and he must have done a great job. He said, if you don't remember him, he did a great job.
Nice try.
Yeah. Well, he's like an offensive lineman. You know, you don't get called for holding. Great job.
Did he call up here and tell you that?
No. Chad Brown
gave the Steelers a scare when he hobbled off early in the ball game, but he came back.
He talked about his 10 sacks, Dan. He's had a couple of fumble recoveries. He's had a couple of interceptions, and this is his first trip as an outside linebacker. I don't think you'll ever find him inside again. Of course, he replaced Greg Lloyd after that first game on the outside.
No, he doesn't want to go back inside.
Now Nedney's kickoff from the 25-yard line, and that's taken a couple of yards in the end zone, and he still gets his touchback down there by Pegram.
Take that.
Woo. He spanked that.
He was just warming up on the first kick.
Well, now this is going to be interesting as far as Mike Tomczak is concerned. He's a veteran. He's been around a long time. In those dozen years, he's worked hard at learning how to not get rattled. But Frank, that's the type of a throw that rattles anybody.
Well, it will, but he is mentally tough. That's why he is there. Originally, Bill Cowher started early in the season Jim Miller in the first game. He put him down after that game, brought in Mike Tomczak. One of the reasons, he said, because of his maturity. He's a veteran. He doesn't rattle. And we know he will give us a stable operation at quarterback.
Dermontti Dawson back in the game at center. And Jerome Bennis picks up 3, takes it up to the 23-yard line. There's a flag down at the 25. So Coleman's crew all of a sudden getting busy. And this is offside against Miami. And they'll accept that and make it 1st down and 5.
Offside. Defense, number 27. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Well, that's almost like being offsides on a kickoff coverage. When a cornerback is offsides for your defensive team, we've seen 2 penalties that should just never happen. Terrell Buckley in the neutral zone at the cornerback position.
1st and 5 now. Tomczak under pressure again. Hangs in the pocket, then throws, and is caught. After
did he
Mark
get it?
Bruner juggled it, did he lose the football?
That might be an interception. Well, how are they going to rule this? Oh, they're looking at each other.
Yeah, they have the look of a crew that's going to check, and they're not sure who has the football.
And meanwhile, Bruner might be hurt.
Sean Wooden came away with the ball, but there's been no signal from the officiating crew yet.
We've had no official. I thought
There still isn't.
I thought Miami came away with the ball. I thought Miami came away with the football.
Well, you've got an interference call against Miami.
Where's that flag?
I don't see a flag, and we haven't seen a possession signal yet.
Illegal contact on the defense, number 27. That penalty's declined. 1st down.
It's Terrell Buckley.
Well, right now, by far and away, the most important thing right now for Pittsburgh is this injury to Mark Bruner. They're starting. There's Buckley on the left-hand side of your screen. He comes up and takes a shot at Andre Hastings. Looked like that was within the 5-yard zone.
It looked like it was in the 5-yard mark.
Yeah, that looked to me like it was no more than 3 or 4 yards downfield.
And away from the play, and Bruner is still down. It's a 36-yard pickup.
Bruner, their #1 draft choice of a year ago. He juggles the ball. Gets hit by Wooden.
I think it was taken away after he was down.
You couldn't see. Let's see. Maybe we can get a look where we can actually see the football.
Well, it's good concentration, too, on the part of Bruner.
Looked like that ball. Of course, you'd have to be looking right at the football. And the official, when the ball's between the two of them, obviously didn't see it. Good work, actually, by both those guys. Bruner sets it up by juggling the ball.
And it's a key play in as much as he was able to retain possession. Otherwise, all it is a 5-yard penalty instead of a 36-yard pickup.
And lost in all of that was the fact that Mike Tomczak was in all kinds of trouble. He had disappeared into the pass rush, and he came out and was able to calmly find Bruner and get the completion.
So Bruner is out. That means Jonathan Hayes, the longtime Kansas City Chief, now the Pittsburgh Steeler in his 12th season, in at tight end. Tomczak on a roll, comes back to the other side. This is John Whitman taking it inside the 40 and inside the 30 as well to the 29-yard line. John Whitman, a rookie out of Penn State, and a guy that Bill Cowher told us earlier this season, he says, I love this kid as a receiver, but that's his first catch of the year.
Well, that's one of those plays you work on. You work on because you have a young team defensively, and they're going to pursue everything. Tomczak with the roll to the right, he got the pursuit, and you screen it back to the against the grain, and that worked absolutely beautifully.
6:05 remaining in the first half. Miami up by 3. Cordell Stewart is in the backfield. He has the football. He pitches it to Bettis. Bettis inside the 20, and Bettis hog-tied at the 16-yard line by Lewis Oliver. Nice looking play.
And you'll never see a big man make that kind of a move on a defensive back. Terrell Buckley had him lined up in his sights, either closed his eyes or something, and Bettis broke it to the outside, and I don't think Buckley even touched him.
If Buckley was closing his eyes, it's because he was praying that Jerome Bettis would go away.
A little option down the line of scrimmage. Watch this. Buckley's 27. I think he did put the head down a little early.
This one foot slipped out from under him. Terrell Buckley would like to play this whole game without taking on Jerome Bettis one-on-one.
Here come the Dolphins on the blitz. They clog up the middle, but Bettis still turns no gain into a 3-yard pickup. Tackled by Calvin Jackson. Let's get a word from Lynn Swann. Lynn?
Well, Al, one of the reasons Pittsburgh may be trying a few more exotic plays is that Yancey Thigpen, number 82, the guy who's been hurt, bitten by the injury bug all season long, apparently is out again. He had the sock on his left leg down. He is limping noticeably. They have not determined just yet what that injury is, but he does have his helmet in his hand. Is giving no indication of coming back into this ball game. Al?
Yancey Thigpen, who missed half the year with a hamstring pull, 2nd down and 7, as Tomczak throws and just throws it out of the end zone. Andre Hastings, the nearest intended recipient. 3rd down. They're saying a strained left arch for Yancey Thigpen, who was just rounding into shape and in fact caught 2 touchdown passes last week against Jacksonville.
And then you could see that Mark Bruner was up on the table, and it looked like they were looking at his left knee.
Like a scene out of MASH.
All we need is Alan Alda.
I'll take Loretta Swit.
Why did I bring it up?
The question is, would she take you?
Well, Tomczak is going to take a timeout before a key 3rd and 7 call. As Pittsburgh, with 47 and a half, still trails by 11. When Pittsburgh gets in the red zone, they were having trouble earlier this season in September and October, but take a look at November. They've been in the red zone 11 times. Cashed in with touchdowns on 9 occasions. They try to make it 10 of 12 here at a pretty critical time. They're down by 11 points. 4:47 to go in the half. 3rd down and 7 at the 12-yard line. Here come the Dolphins, all of them, and the pass is a little low and is caught by Hastings at the 6-yard line, but he's short of the 1st down. Tomczak with grass in his helmet thanks to Zach Thomas.
Thomas came in with nobody even touching him. It's right in Tomczak's face, and Tomczak was lucky to even get the ball to Hastings.
Well, they just came with more blockers and more men than the Steelers had blockers, and I see no kicker for the Steelers. They're going to go for it.
At least they're going to line up like they're going to go for it.
4th and 1.
And where will Cordell Stewart figure in all this? And Tomczak's going to take a timeout.
If you got somebody like Jerome Bettis on that offensive line, I think why not go for it here?
They take a timeout with 4:08 remaining in the opening half. Another peek.
Well,
that ball was on the ground.
Yep.
A marginal save.
Just because it had grass stains on it.
Whoa.
And it's going to make it 4th down and 1.
Now
at the 6.
Hastings
playing devil's advocate here. Hastings caught that ball without the aid of the ground. I don't think the ground helped. Well, from that angle, it looked like the ground helped him. Well, so much for that.
Yep.
It was a good thought until I saw that angle.
But I'll tell you, regular speed though, that happens so quickly. That would be a hard one to. That would be a hard one to judge.
Well,
particularly nobody right on top of it.
It's the sawgrass here.
Regardless, well, we saw it hit the grass.
Yes. 4th and 1 at the 6. 4:08 to go in the half. And you've got Cordell Stewart at quarterback. That's how he figures, and he figures to pick up the 1st down as he takes it to the 5-yard line. Stewart, the short yardage quarterback. The Dolphins think they have stopped him short.
Think he's
as you
all
can
the
see,
way?
he needed a half a yard. He got his 1st down.
He got a full yard out of that. He's a good athlete, and he's strong. He's big. He goes about 215 pounds and a little over 6'1".
What's unusual tonight, he is the Steelers' 2nd quarterback. If anything would happen to Mike Tomczak tonight, Cordell Stewart would come in and quarterback the football team.
Well, he's staying in now because they're down at the 5-yard line.
They'll measure to make it official, but Coleman has already signaled first down. Not that couldn't be overruled by the measurement. Now it's official. I'll tell you, that was granted, it's early in the game. That's a pretty gutsy call by Cower, because if you don't make it, you're a little deflated going in at the half.
Well, he's that decision made easier by the quality of that offensive line up front.
Cordell Stewart gives you a lot of options down here. One is a rollout with an option to either pass or run. Pretty good pass. He's not having the big numbers that he had a year ago. But he can do many things.
Stewart in quarterback on 1st and goal from the 5. Fake toss. It looks like a college play, and it works to perfection. Tim Lester for the touchdown.
Well, it is. It's the old option down the line of scrimmage until you tee off the defensive man, and then you flip it out.
What a nice bonus for Tim Lester. His first touchdown of the year, and only his 5th carry of the year, a guy that averages less than 2 yards a carry. He's Jerome Bettis' lead blocker. He pounds himself every week, and what a nice treat for Lester to get a touchdown out of this.
Great execution, too. You saw Jerome Bettis banging into the middle of the line. That holds the defense for just a moment, and perfectly executed beyond that.
Norm Johnson for the point after. And so the Steelers, in need of a good drive, get it. They go 80 yards. They convert on 4th and 1. The key play was that 36-yard pass to Bruner, and they draw to within 4. It's now 14-10 Miami. Let's go to New York. Check in with Chris Berman. Chris.
All right, Al, thank you. Coming up on our Toyota Halftime Report, we'll take back a look at a week in the NFL that certainly lived up to its number, 13. But there's nothing strange about the play of the Carolina Panthers.
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. 8 wins right here today.
They got that 8th win against the Oilers the old-fashioned way. Defense. Sam Mills, a.k.a. the Field Mouse. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, 41 yards, 31-6 Carolina. Now, if the playoffs start tomorrow, Carolina hosts an opening round playoff game.
Carolina would indeed, Chris, host a playoff game, as hard as that is to believe for a team in their 2nd year in the National Football League. And
it's their head man, Dom Capers, came from right here in the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the defensive coordinator that went down there and has done such a great job.
And they're home next week against Tampa Bay. I'll tell you, one of the more fascinating matchups of this season is going to be the last week of the year when Pittsburgh takes on Carolina, and that's not a particularly swell sight, obviously, with Thigpen and Bruner both going back to the locker room.
Wow.
Two of the 3 starting receivers for Pittsburgh on their way to the locker room.
Johnson kicks off. It's taken by Irving Spikes at the 4. Maintains his balance, takes it back up to the 29-yard line. And the Miami Dolphins, a team that, to me, this game is far more important to them. I mean, Pittsburgh's in pretty good shape, thinking about home field and in control of their division. But this is really one of those fulcrum games for the Dolphins tonight.
You know, a year ago, the Dolphins were in exactly the same position. They were 6-5 right at this juncture a year ago. And, of course, they did make the playoffs. Probably wish they hadn't after they were destroyed up against Buffalo. And Don Shula will go on the Ring of Honor here at halftime, and that'll be quite a celebration.
Oh, this place will go bananas when Don walks out to midfield.
Miami first down from the 29-yard line as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar takes it up to the 34.
When you talk about this Dolphins football team, I think I can't help but think about, and by the way, there is the sign on the stadium wall here that'll be unveiled with Don Shula's name. I can't help but think about what Jimmy Johnson was talking to us last night about this football team, really the same record that they had a year ago, but how much different, how young it is. And this was, I think, a year that he was willing to write off. He's so pleasantly surprised that they're competing for a spot in the playoffs. This is really a bonus for this football team.
2nd and 5, and that's caught by Barnett, who gets whacked by Williams a little short of the first down. And along the way, he's also been able to get a salary cap situation that was out of control, under control in the process.
Dan talked about the, The 20 first-round draft picks that were here a year ago.
19.
They were great players. They just didn't get along with each other.
Even with $6 million in waste money next year, as we look at this completion to Barnett, even with $6 million in waste money, what that is, money that's allocated for people who aren't going to be here, the Dolphins are still going to be $3.7 million under the cap. He's going to have room to play next year and sign a couple free agents.
3rd and 1, and Abdul-Jabbar takes it across the 40 to the 41, and the maestro can go to work. Marino now with 2 minutes remaining in the first half. 2 minutes and all of his timeouts at his disposal, and Miami leads 14-10. There is tomorrow night's primetime lineup right here on ABC. Roseanne, Life's Work, Home Improvement, Spin City, and NYPD Blue. And then on Wednesday night, it begins with Ellen and concludes with Primetime Live. Right there, the Wednesday night lineup right here on ABC.
These guys from NYPD Blue really were blue. Detective Sipowicz. Should have been an offensive lineman named Sipowicz.
Well, the Steelers trying to avoid being black and blue as they've taken an 11-point deficit and closed to within 4. Marino on first down throws incomplete, intended for Abdul-Jabbar. 2nd down and 10.
Dan Marino, only 4 interceptions thus far this year. He has really benefited on the effort to run the football here in Miami. Coming into the weekend, leading passer in the NFL. It's all attributable to the fact the Miami Dolphins can indeed run the football and are genuinely trying to.
Now they give it to Stanley Pritchett, the fullback, up to the 46-yard line, the rookie out of South Carolina. Joel Steed, the nose tackle, makes the tackle. The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes high above this edifice in North Dade County.
Great night to ride around up there.
The wind was howling here today. A very brisk breeze blowing off the Atlantic, but it has calmed down to nothing here in the evening.
3rd down and 5 now. Marino tries to convert and does. He hits Bernie Parmalee, and that's a first down to the 38-yard line. Jimmy Johnson says, give me a timeout, and they do, with a $1:11 to play in the half. Miami did use a timeout on their first drive on that long 9-minute drive as they got down near the goal line, so they have 1 remaining now.
Again, great protection for Marino as he finds Parmalee, the second choice as a receiver.
Well,
terrific protection.
Frank Dick LeBeau, the coordinator for the Steelers, now finds himself in a quandary. That time he did not come after Marino. He went with a straight 4-man rush, didn't get anywhere near him. And it's kind of it's so tough. I know that they've got the 2 new guys playing guards for Miami, but you also have Marino, the guy who can read and react to a blitz quicker than anybody. I'm not sure that I'd want to be Dick LeBeau tonight, to blitz or not to blitz.
You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Jeff Bucky, the starting rookie from Stanford, who went to my high school in Bakersfield, California. Old driller.
Yep. Meanwhile, college football coming up on Friday. Texas A&M and Texas gets it started at 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern. Then Colorado, Nebraska follows that on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, right here on ABC. First down and 10 at the 38-yard line.
Here comes the blitz.
Woodson on a corner blitz. Marino throws to McDuffie for a short gain. Stopped at the 33-yard line. Pickup of 5. Darren Perry with the tackle. The Dolphins conserving their final timeout.
And very conservative move by Woodson. 1-0 courtesy from 1-0 pro to another one. He didn't level Marino when he probably could have.
2nd and 5 now from the 33-yard line.
Here he comes again.
Yep, bottom of the screen, and he knocks it away. Rod Woodson, and there's no way you could miss him. Marino throwing in that direction. Incomplete, 3rd down.
I think we see what Dick LeBeau is going to do. He sits in a conventional defense and gets burned. Now twice in a row he comes on the blitz, and it's successful for him both times. And that's just smart play by by Woodson, realizing he's not going to get there. I think does this hit him in the helmet?
It does.
Right.
Right in the helmet.
Right between the eyes.
Well, he's had a good 3-game streak. 4 interceptions over the last 3 games. He makes things happen.
Pretty good vertical leap by Rod.
3rd and 5 now. And the Steelers jump.
Well, we might have had a false start.
It'll be Richmond Webb, the left tackle. Walt Coleman will give us the call.
False start. Prior to the snap, offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
I don't know about you. I'd vote for Walt. He's got a good delivery.
He does. He sounds just like Ross Perot, doesn't he?
Yep.
Please. If he'd be holding up a chart or a graph to explain what was happening.
3rd and 10 after the penalty at the 38-yard line. Don Shula.
That man doesn't look like anybody other than Don Shula. The jaw. Here comes Woodson again.
Woodson, pressure, Marino in the grasp of Woodson, and then it's dropped. Scott Miller had a chance to make the catch, and it would have been a 1st down.
Oh, what a great throw by Marino. Dancing around with traffic all around him. Slipping out of the pocket. He doesn't do that very often, and he gets the ball absolutely in the hands of Miller, and he just can't hold on.
Well, Woodson playing cat and mouse with Marino. Woodson slid to the inside. That's
Look at that
Woodson.
throw.
I don't know how he got it there.
Meanwhile, they're going to attempt a 56-yard field goal, and timeout is taken here by Pittsburgh. Now, the danger, the biggest danger for Miami here is that with 34 seconds left, if you miss a 56-yard attempt, Pittsburgh takes over at its own 46-yard line.
Or you get it blocked. I mean, the trajectory has got to be low as the ball comes off the ground. This is natural surface. That'll make it even lower, and you have a much better opportunity to block it.
Well, and we're down here at sea level, too. A 56-yarder down here in this heavier air is going to require some boot by Nedney.
Longest field goal in the league this season is a 56-yarder. Al Del Greco of the Oilers kicked that one. Nedney's longest is 44 yards. Nedney got the job because of his kickoffs. Pete Stoyanovich and Nedney battled it out.
But a kickoff, as we all know, you don't have to worry about getting it up in a hurry.
So Nedney has the leg. The question is, does he have the accuracy? John Kidd to place it. And the kick is long enough but wide.
Well, none of those things happen.
So now Pittsburgh, with 27 seconds remaining, they have the ball at their own 46-yard line as they try to get into field goal range.
Just like a ball coming off a bat, the way it tails away. That thing hooked. Started out, it was between the uprights, but it just tailed off at the very end. Just slid outside the right upright, but it had the distance.
And we'll see Cordell Stewart now coming in.
Steelers will have to do this as you look at Don's reaction. Pittsburgh will have to do this now without a timeout. Their field goal kicker is Norm Johnson. Stewart is in the game, but as a receiver from the 46-yard line. Eric Pegram in the game at the running back spot, and trips to the right. 3 receivers. And it is caught by Johnson. Charles Johnson at the 33-yard line. Tomczak now with the clock ticking down without a timeout.
Well, they're well within field goal range.
Has to stop the clock here, and he does. Well, they're looking at a 51-yard field goal attempt. Now you've got one play if you want to run it, but you have to make sure you get out of bounds, or it's an incomplete pass, or you're not going to have a chance to kick a field goal.
This is a great catch.
Boy, a beautiful catch.
That takes such concentration. He loses it and rolls over and comes up with it. I talked to Norm Johnson, the field goal kicker for the Steelers, and I asked him, what's your max tonight? And he was kicking this way, and he paused a moment. He said 55 yards.
Well, they'll take one more shot at the sideline. I don't think they have time to go to the end zone.
They don't. He's got to get out of bounds, and that's Johnson who makes the catch, and he does pick up a few more yards to the 29-yard line, and that makes it a 46 to 47-yard field goal attempt for Norm Johnson.
46 would be my guess. That's
Mike Tomczak will spot it.
Didn't seem like a spectacular completion, but that was definitely worth it. Darn right.
Means a lot to Norm Johnson.
Darn right.
Tomczak with his knee down at the 37-yard line, so a 47-yard attempt to try to get Pittsburgh within one. And Johnson with a low kick, and it's no good.
Ugly.
What was that?
Yeah, that's what Cower wants to know. Well, that's the half as the Miami Dolphins lead it by a score of 14-10. Coming up at the half, our Toyota halftime report. Chris Berman along from New York with the highlights, and Tiger Woods, who will be playing in the Skins game this weekend, will be live from Southern California. So stick around as we
Super Bowl championships. You see Coach Shula standing there now.
1996
Here are some of the
marks
former
the
players.
seventh
Let's
year
listen to
of the
Jimmy.
Dolphin Honor Roll, located between the upper and lower levels of Pro Players Stadium. In continuing the tradition of honoring Dolphin greats from the past, I introduce you to the next member of the Dolphin Honor Roll. Please direct your attention to the Jumbotron screens for a brief look at the career of the greatest coach the NFL has ever known.
For over 30 years, through 8 presidents, Don Shula has won. Season after season, the NFL's marathon man kept winning. Good year after good year. 100 wins in 10 years. 200 in 20 years. 300 in 30 years. His shining moment finally arrived on a crisp November Sunday in Philadelphia when Grandpa Dolphin surpassed Papa Bear George Halas, becoming the winningest coach in NFL history. 325 victories. He won his first on Dan Marino's second birthday. He has more wins than Paul Brown and Vince Lombardi combined. More victories, in fact, than 16 NFL franchises.
Where's Andrew? Get the hell in there!
Shula ruled with an iron fist, but he never choked his teams. He won with the passing of John Unitas in Baltimore in the 60s, and then with a punishing ground assault that earned the Dolphins back-to-back Super Bowls in the 70s. In the 80s, he unleashed the killer bees. And later, with Dan Marino, it was bombs away once more.
This is number 325, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Coach Shula being mobbed as he becomes the all-time winningest coach in the history of the National Football League, breaking the record of the immortal George Halas.
Be assured Shula will add to that career total, not just because he loves the game, but because the game and his team love him.
I think Danny won 100 and some of those victories that I'm, got on my record. But Danny, thank you. And everybody else. A hell of a day. It's one I'll never forget. Hey, honey.
When he began, he was the league's youngest coach. Now, he is its wisest and greatest. Don Shula, the NFL's ultimate winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest inductee to the Dolphin Honor Roll. The Shula's induction, Dolphins owner Wade Heisinger will now present him with a plaque commemorating his achievements.
Don, what a wonderful moment this is for the Dolphin organization, and what a proud moment it is for Dolphin fans throughout South Florida and throughout the world. Everyone here, Don, on behalf of the Dolphins organization, we congratulate you on this great honor of being inducted into the Ring of Honor. And we thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts, Don, that all you have done for this organization in this area for so very, very many years. Thank you very much. We love you.
Thank you, Wayne. Ladies and gentlemen, fans of the Dolphins, you've been the greatest. This is a very, very special evening to be inducted into the Ring of Honor, along with all of the people that have meant so much to Dolphin history. And I take a lot of pride in now being a part of that. But more important, there are so many people that have helped me along the way. The great accomplishments of the Miami Dolphins football team. Back-to-back Super Bowls. (17-0) says it all. The biggest winning percentage of any football or professional sports since 1970. I've got a lot of people to thank. Ownership, Joe Robbie, Wayne Huizinga and his lovely wife Marty for all they've done. The fantastic tribute dinner that they had for me just recently. But the players, they're the ones that get it done. They're the ones that win for you on Sunday and Monday night.
Quite a special moment for Pro Players Stadium. Now there's still a whole half of football left. Remember, stay with us after the game. Win or lose, we're going to bring you Jimmy Johnson's post-game news conference live. This has been our special Toyota halftime report. We're going to see you again on the Night Beat. Once again, congratulations to Coach Don Shula.
Back in Miami, a spectacular shot. That's downtown Miami, about a 30-minute drive from Joe Robbie Stadium, assuming there's not a lot of traffic.
That's early in the morning.
It's going to be a lot longer than that.
About 4.
Yep. And in North Dade County, the edifice until recently known as Joe Robbie Stadium, named for the late Dolphin owner and a man whose vision was to build a stadium out in this area, which he did, and the Dolphins have been playing here since '87. It's also the home of the Florida Marlins of the National League. Funny when you think of the coaches and managers in this city right now. Jim Leland, generally regarded as the best in baseball, is now the Marlins manager. Jimmy Johnson, his record speaks for himself. Don Shula, his predecessor. Doug McLean of the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup finalist last year, and Pat Riley of the Miami Heat.
Off to a great start this year. Huh? Heat off to a great start.
Don Shula, and he was thanked by this big crowd at halftime for all the memories as they unveiled the plaque. Don coming out to a huge ovation.
And as he left the platform, the last hand he shook was that of Jimmy Johnson, and they unveiled the Ring of Honor designating Don Shula, head coach 1970 to 1995.